Hi, everyone. Welcome to XpoNorth Digital Shorts. I am so excited to have Stuart here. Hi, Stuart.
Hi there. Hi, Jessica. How's it going?
Yeah, so in addition to Stuart having pretty much the coolest house I've seen with a lot of background, he also is a video game certification analyst for BFI. Is that right, Stuart?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I'm a video game certification analyst, quite a long title at the British Film Institute.
Awesome. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so the certification unit at the BFI is the first point of contact for people who want to get their screen project certified as British. There's a few reasons for getting that done, but the main reason is in order to access the creative industry tax reliefs that exist.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. So
hmm
I would like to know a little bit about how
Yeah.
one becomes, before we go into why being certified and what that kind of looks like,
Mhm.
how does one become a video game certification analyst? Are you like a total video game junkie? Did you come from the screen side? How did that happen?
Yeah, it's really interesting actually, because when I first started at the BFI, I wasn't working specifically on video games. I was kind of doing generally across, so in our unit, we work across 5 different sectors, animation, film, high-end television, children's television, and video games. And just my boss realized that I have quite a lot of knowledge on video games. I don't have a professional background in video games. It all just came from kind of my own interest, really, from the time I was like 5 years old.
Wow.
Um, so she just kind of gradually pushed me more towards the video game side of things until, yeah, that's what my specialism is now. Yeah.
I'm just picturing you at 5 years old. Were you like playing Tetris? Was that the game that?
Weirdly, the first game I remember playing is the Rocky Horror Show game on my cousin's Spectrum. Yeah, yeah, it was really. Oh no, actually, before that was later. The first game I remember playing is Superman on the Atari because I can remember not having a clue how to play it. Superman
Brilliant.
and Smurfs. Yeah,
Brilliant. And
yeah,
for the layman like me, video game is the same thing as computer game.
yeah. There's always a bit of discussion about which term should be used.
Okay.
Generally, we use video games, but computer games is also fine. Yeah,
For all kind of video games. Okay,
yeah.
so what does it mean to be certified?
So basically, what it means to be certified is you come to us, you go through a process, particularly something called the cultural test, which I'll explain in a bit. There's a few misconceptions and things around the
Sounds like
cultural
something I did to get my residency visa.
test. Yeah. I think it can sound quite austere to some people. So you come to us, you go through the cultural test, supply us with some documents about your project, and then at the end of the process, you get a certificate. And we actually work on behalf of government. So the certificate comes from DCMS, and it just says this game, film, animation, whatever, is officially a British production.
Wow. Okay, so
Yeah.
I see what you mean. So the certification is about it being a British production, and I'm
Yeah.
guessing a lot of the steps that you're taking in order to certify it have to do with people that you hire, maybe cultural content.
Yes, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, so when we look at a project, like I said, I specialize in games, but we do all. We look at lots of different things. We look at the content, we look at where the money is being spent, we look at who is making the project, who came up with the concept for it. Oh, sorry, that's my phone going from the background. Yeah, so all those things we look at. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to not assume and just be totally transparent. I've looked on the website. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing one of the benefits of getting certified is, as a British production, is
Mm-hmm.
tax relief.
Yeah, so that's the main thing that people really get it done for. There are other reasons to be certified, but that's the main way and the main thing people really get it for. So yeah, the creative industry tax reliefs are there, and they've been there for a long time in various forms. Video games is one of the newer ones. It was 2014 that it came in. Yeah, and basically what it means is you end up getting some money from the government to help finance the project. Well, it's actually you get the money back when you do your tax returns.
Okay.
Although there are people who now loan against tax relief. So some people will cash flow their project that way. They'll get a certificate from us and then they'll go to a lender. So yeah, it's useful. Basically, if you're making a production in the UK and it meets all the requirements, if you're making a game in the UK, then there's no reason not to get certified, really. Some lenders will ask for it, some investors will even be happy to see that you've got a certificate, because it shows that you're kind of looking at all the avenues available to cash flow the production.
So for getting certified specifically for video games in comparison, say, to film or another sector, I can picture that video games, there's a lot of outsourcing.
Yes, you're right. There can be a lot of outsourcing with video games. It's funny because they're all very comparable, the kind of process and the cultural tests, particularly for each sector. But there are slight differences, and we see slight differences. We keep track of spending, just kind of collated to give government kind of general figures, and we see a lot of outsourcing.
And so for the video game certification, are you guys more lenient towards like the percentage of people that have to be hired within the UK versus another medium, or is it pretty?
It's quite prescriptive, the test. So there's a section that's specifically about development staff. So it's really, if you can say like your lead programmer is British or European citizen or resident, it's quite open in that way. Then you kind of get a tick, and we go through kind of each role. There's designer, there's lots of roles. So
that's brilliant. Well, where in the process do you recommend video game makers coming to you guys?
It's a really good question, one that we get asked quite a lot. So there's two different types of certificate you can get. You can get an interim certificate while the game is still in process, still in production, sorry. You can get a final certificate when the game is complete. If you get an interim, you do have to get a final at some point. I would always recommend, if you're making the game and you've just started, say, basically, there's no harm in getting the certificate, getting an interim certificate, because it gives you some options. You can use it for financing if you want. You can use it to start claiming money as you're spending it. So, if you get to the end of your financial year and you've spent £100,000, then you can use the certificate to claim back on that £100,000. So yeah, it's really up to the applicant, but it doesn't hurt. It's a free process, so there's nothing to lose really in doing it.
Totally. And can you apply multiple times? Like if you apply and they're like, you're halfway through and they're like, you're not hiring enough British staff, and then you correct that, can you do it again?
That's another interesting question. So generally we would expect, when we give an interim certificate, that things wouldn't change too much. Obviously things will change in terms of overall budgets or schedules, even sometimes the content, as long as you still meet the requirements. So you could change your lead programmer. The lead programmer might change, but basically that just means you might lose a point in the tests, so that's why the final certificate exists. So you have to apply again at the end. So if you lose a point in a certain section, as long as you can make it up somewhere else, you can get to pass mark, and it's 16 points out of 32 you have to get. So as long as you can still get to the pass mark, I mean, something would have to go terribly wrong if you lost all your stuff, and So as long as you can still pass that, that's fine.
That's fine. So let's say you're going to apply for the final certificate. How long does that process of deciding take?
It's about 4 to 6 weeks. Well, that's our normal turnaround time. In COVID times, it's been a little bit longer. So it's 4 to 6 weeks from the point that you put your application into us, to the point it goes through the process. Sorry, there's my phone. I should have turned it off.
You're a popular man. I'm very lucky to have this interview with you.
So by the time it goes through the entire process, it takes about 4 to 6 weeks from beginning to end.
So you're in this I don't even know, you're probably under some code where you can't talk about the applications, but you're in such a cool, unique position, especially for any video game fan. To see what's coming in the pipeline.
Are you? Oh, sorry, I've disappeared. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you.
Oh, I can't see you. Hold on a minute.
Not just a disembodied voice now.
Sorry, Jessica, I don't know what's happened. I went to just mute the phone there and just disappeared. Yeah.
Have you noticed any trends with the stuff that's coming in? You don't have to talk about specific projects, or is there that you're like, I think this is going to be a good video game year?
Yeah, it's interesting. So obviously everything that comes to us is top secret and confidential. We don't share any kind of information because we see projects, you know, sometimes years before they're announced. With terms of specific trends, and what obviously I see the whole range of video games. So from, you know, really low budget one-man band kind of independent games up to like million dollar big games. Trends, I would say we still see mobile gaming is still really strong.
Okay.
There's still a huge amount of mobile games that come through. If you're curious, actually, you can look on our website, and we publish a list of all the games that get final certification. Nice. So if you ever got a spare hour, you can scroll through and you can see all the games that get certified. Yeah, it's still mobile gaming is a big thing. Starting to see some next generation games because PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X are both due for release at the end of this year, so some games on that format. Starting to see some VR has been a funny one. It's been kind of up and down.
I was going to ask you.
But yeah, we still see quite a few VR projects coming through. Okay. But yeah, I would still say mobile gaming is still seems to be a big space. Yeah.
COVID. Okay, we have to talk about the COVID elephant.
Yeah.
Has COVID affected any of the application process, any of the types of games you see coming out?
It's really interesting, actually, because obviously, because we work across 5 screen sectors, obviously things where filming is involved has been hit very hard. So film and TV, because obviously productions just had to stop. Video games haven't been hit in the same way because remote working is a lot more viable with video games because people are doing so much work on the computer anyway. So that's kind of the biggest thing that we've seen. So yeah, and also not related to what we're doing, but I know that with sales figures, there's been a huge spike in terms of sales figures in video games. I know Nintendo Switch was sold out everywhere for ages because I guess people were at home and maybe needed some time to fill a bit more. So yeah, they do.
Speaking about being at home, because I hate to do this, but we're running out of time. I need to ask you, what are you playing anything? Are you totally sick of video games? Because when
I'll never be sick of video games. From, like I said, the time I was 5 years old playing that Superman game. Yeah, so I've been playing some very geeky things. So I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles, which is a Japanese role-playing game. It's all my partner looks at it and it's like, what's all this? It's just like menus and databases. And then some terrible voice acting. I've been playing that. I've been playing Last of Us 2, which I know has been very divisive, but very interesting, especially in terms of diversity. It's got an LGBT lead character, which I think is really interesting. I've been playing that. What else have I been playing? Playing Mario Kart, as always.
A classic. It never gets old, does it?
I know. It's one game that I can always kind of keep going back to and keep playing. I have been playing XCOM, which is a turn-based strategy game. Yeah, I'm trying to... what else have I been
already
playing?
A lot. You're already like 100% more than I'm playing.
Yeah, it's. I always have like about 5 games on the go at once, and it's rare for me these days to finish games, which is terrible. I need to finish games. I feel just a huge sense of relief when I finish a game, but it almost never happens nowadays. I like it when games are like 10 to 15 hours, but most games now are like dozens and dozens and dozens. It's exhausting.
Stuart, thank you so much for your time. Can we
it's great.
take a little bit of advice? So something that you've learned along the way in your career that you think might just be helpful.
Yeah, so one thing I've learned with working with video games particularly is never ignore things that you think might be fads. It's always worth kind of diving into things, just because you never know how relevant they're going to become to your industry. It's really easy to look at things and think, oh, that's never going to catch on. But I always, if there's anything that's kind of interesting or new coming up, I always try and get as much information about it as possible instead of just discounting it, because you never know when that information might come useful in a project in the future.
That's so awesome. Thank you so much. Really.
No, you're welcome. Thanks for interviewing me.
We look forward to getting you back up to Inverness soon.
Yes, can't wait. As soon as I'm cleared to fly.